Alright guys, welcome back to AWMFX. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, no matter where you are. So today we'll talk about a topic about RBS, SBR, resistance become support, or support become resistance, and how do you identify the strong RBS, SBR. Right. This topic actually I have repeated quite a lot of time because a lot of you keep asking, and maybe you're lazy to look back at some of my videos. But anyway, it's okay. I'll do it again. I'll do it again. I'll explain it again. Right. But of course, I'll add in some hints here. Right. So first of all, what is RBS SBR? So here we have an example. So assuming that the price is moving bearish down, and then it happens to have a rejection going up, and suddenly the price break. All right. So what happens is that when the price break, there's a few factors that we need to look at it. First of all, is make sure it's a clean break. All right. Let me put it here. So make sure it's a clean break. First one is of course clean break. So what do I mean by clean break? It means that the price comes down nicely. All right, of course, in between it will have some drop base drop, or drop base rally drop, a small base rally drop, which I call it as a decision point, DP. All right, and then drop, there will be a better one. So the second criteria is of course is there is something over here behind. We look to the left. Okay, always look to the left. So if there is a lot of rejection, it's either from the top, all right, it's either from the top or the bottom, or it's only from the top or it's only from the bottom, it does not matter. All right, as long that along this line there is a lot of rejection, so it will become a very good SSR, which I call it as a significant support or significant support and resistance, SSR. So it will have, when it has this kind of a character, it means that it's a very strong point. All right, very strong point. So the second one is of course SSR. So the third thing is that make sure to look at the break area. So when the price break this area, all right, it will happen to have a drop base drop. All right, happens to have a drop base drop. So your entry point is over here. This will be your entry point. All right, this area will be your entry point. However, sometimes it does not have a drop base drop. What does it have? All right, example over here. Sometimes, sorry about that. Sometimes it will only have this kind of pattern. All right, it will only have this kind of pattern when it drop at this particular area. This is something that we call it as a double maru. Right, double maru. Right. Sometimes it will only happen like this. It does not always comes looks like this. It will happen like this. So your entry point will be from the opening of the second candle to the top, to the high. So this is your entry point. Of course, confirmation. You need to go into confirmation. So how do you go into confirmation? So if in higher time frame, let's assume that you're looking at H4. All right, you have this kind of pattern at the break of this support over here. So what you do is you switch to small time. One thing before that, make sure you have your zone ready. Right, don't move your zone. Go into small time frame. All right, then you look into it. It will definitely have a drop base drop. Make sure it will have a drop base drop for a secure entry. All right, for a secure entry, drop base drop. This is what we call drop base drop. Sometimes the double maru is a drop base drop in higher time frame. Right, so you need to go into it. So this is the third point. All right, look at the structure, or we look at the zone, supply zone or demand zone, supply or demand zone at break. All right, so look at it, make sure you have something over there. Right, So is that all? No. So today the tips, all right, the tips for you guys is that a lot of you do not know where should I be looking at, because sometimes it happens to be like this. All right, sometimes let me get this thing out. So we are looking at a different scenario. Of course, when I draw is perfect, very perfect. So, but in actual, will it be like that? No. So what happened is that, let me remove some of these things. All right, sometimes you may have something like this. All right, sorry. Okay. All right. You have something like this. So now you will struggle, or maybe I'll make it even lower, better. It looks more realistic. Now you will struggle, because why? Because now you have a drop base drop and a double maru. Sorry. Now you have a drop base drop or double maru, and the problem is that which point should you be looking at? Which point you should be looking at? Is it at the shadow or at the opening, or the at the body? All right. So my hint for you is that, for me, my experience, I've been trading RBS SBR profitably. I will prefer it to be at the body. All right, it's not at the wick. All right, preferably it's at the body over here. So the other thing is that, the other hint is that, since we are using the candle chart, you can switch it to line chart. So when you switch to line chart, make sure that this area, all right, this movement over here has to be a very sharp V, right? It has to be a very sharp V in this case. So if you flip it over for the RBS, it has to be a very sharp A. All right, hopefully you guys do understand. Once you switch it to line chart, it's easier for you to identify that way. So once you already got that, same thing, same process. Sometimes you don't have your point over here. Sometimes you already got your entry at the shadow, no choice. All right, you look to the left. The process is the same. First thing, clean break. Second, SSR. Third, look at the S and D zone at the break. Can you see why I put S and D zone at the break on the last? Because you need to have the clean break SSR first. If you don't have the clean break SSR, there's no use of looking at the S and D. You have to remember that, don't always look for the entry first. Look at how the price reacts to the zone, or reacts to the support or resistance. All right. Some of you may get confused. How come I should be learning supply and demand, and suddenly you come to support and resistance? It's all related. All right. Why is support and resistance? Is because it's price has memory, right? It's just like example over here. If you go to your local supermarket and you are buying, we call it Coca-Cola, all right, Coca-Cola. I believe most of you know. I'm giving an example over here. So you always buy Coca-Cola. Let's assume that it's $2. Then suddenly the price went up to $2.50. Do you know? You definitely know, because you already anchor your price at $2. So what happens if the price came down at $1.50? Do you notice that? Yes, because your mind, you already notice it or anchor it at $2. It's the same thing with the price over here. The big players or the big bankers, they have an anchor price. Right? They remember their price, where the price will react. Right? Hopefully this will explain why there is a support and resistance. Right? So today's not, the lesson is not about that. So here we have the confirmation, then we have the entry. All right, it can be over here, but as long as there is an SSR behind it. All right, but of course, like what I said, I prefer it to be on the body. All right, and the other thing, what happens if it happens? All right, it happens to be at the middle of this body. All right, what happens? It's a no for me. Right. Everyone have his own rules or regulation. For me, because I did a lot of backtesting, and then of course sometimes some trade, it may happens well if the trade the zone or the price action happens to be at the body of some particular movement. Yes, sometimes, but the possibility is very low. All right. I'll say that it's lower than average. So for me, I will take low risk. I'll do my best to minimize my risk because I'm putting a lot of bigger lot size. So remember that. So it has to be at the body or the opening of the candle or the close at the candle. So this is the few rules. Right. So hopefully this video can how should I say uh clear a lot of doubts, right, for you guys. Right. So what happens is that a lot of you do not know how to enter at higher time frame, lower time frame, because higher time frame may looks like a double marrow, lower time frame definitely you have to find your supply and demand zone. And important, all right, and I'm gonna give you another important here, right? All right, enter at fresh zone only. Right, of course these are my rules. I'm sharing some of my rules over here. I always enter at fresh zone only. Right, there are many times a lot of you might come across that price react at retested or second tested zone. It may happen. All right, but for me, I always go into fresh zone only. Right, if you do not understand what is fresh zone, please go back and watch how you define the zone first and how you do mapping. You have to be very clear about this. All right, of course this is a strategy for a trend continuous trade. All right, so price likely will comes back to this area and then react. All right, it is so simple. Yes, sometimes I may make things too simple for you, but you need to do your own work. All right, if you just watch my video, it is useless. I can say my videos are useless, right? It's just like you watch Rambo. Is it Rainbow? Not Rainbow. Rambo. Sorry, Rambo. You know the Sylvester Stallone. I'm an old guy, so I know what's Rambo. Or maybe now the latest one movie is John Wick, or let's say John Wick. You watch John Wick, you can watch how he fights. All right, you watch 100 times, 200 times. Do you think you really can fight? No, you won't. Unless you really go into training, proper training. Right? Of course, here, trading is the same. You can watch my video 100 times, 200 times. Oh, I understand. I definitely understand. I jot down a lot of notes. I have a lot of notes. But if you don't do backtesting, it's useless. That's why I always say that I do recommend TradingView. Most of you see that I very seldom I use MetaTrader for doing all this drawing. I use MetaTrader for trading, but not backtesting, because in TradingView I can do a lot of we call this replay into smaller time frame. I can go switch into small time frame. I can play around with the time frame and do a lot of confirmation. All right, do your backtesting. All right, hopefully this video can clear a lot of things for you guys. So see you guys in the next video. So today I'm in the mood. I'll do a few more videos for you guys. All right, so see you guys. Bye.